Please welcome Robyn Hatcher.
Imagine you just got a promotion and today you're going to talk one-on-one to all of your team because they're going to be working in a new division with a new manager. Your first meeting is with Ramon. And Ramon comes in and you tell him the news, and Ramon is really excited for you. He says, congratulations. And he can't wait to meet his new manager. And he probably tells you some of his corny jokes, and then he's out of there. Then your next meeting is with Sylvia. And Sylvia comes in and you tell her the same news in the same way. And Sylvia looks at you and she gets really quiet. And she asks a couple of questions, but then she sits back and then she just says, thanks for letting me know. She gets up and she leaves. Same message, same messenger, completely different responses. Today, we're going to talk about why that happens and how you might be able to mitigate that in the future. Because today, I'm going to share with you my Communication RX for Enlightened Leadership. Now, I call it Communication RX because I believe that in order to be a good leader, it's kind of like being a good physician. A good physician needs to get to know their patient so that they can diagnose before they prescribe. And a good leader needs to get to know their employees so that they can diagnose before they communicate. Now, I know some of you might be saying, this woman is crazy. Robyn, I am a very busy person. I do not have time to diagnose all of my employees. Now, I get that. I get it. I hear you. Honest, I do. But I'm wondering, do you have time? Can you afford not to do it? There are some very compelling reasons why improving communication is a good idea for business growth. It increases productivity, it saves time, and it increases profitability. Now take a look at some of those statistics. How many of you would not want your employees to do their best work? And I bet you might love to get 17 hours back in your work week. And I doubt if anybody is going to say no to a 47% increase in their profits. So yeah, there are a lot of really great reasons for improving communication. But as you saw with Ramon and Sylvia, it's really hard. But it can be done. And it all starts with the way that you listen. Now, I'm not asking you how well you listen, but I'd love to talk to you about how you listen. There are 3 ways that people tend to listen. Now, there's that first way, and I'll give you an example. Now, say Bill Curtin is telling you a story, and it's an interesting story. You listen for a few minutes, and then all of a sudden you start thinking of a story that you have, and that's a better story. You think it's a more interesting story. And so you can't wait to have the chance to break in and tell your story so that you can win the conversation. That's what we call listening to win. Now, the second way that we listen is listening to fix. Now, Rochelle might have a challenge at work, and she's telling you a challenge at work, and you start to think, oh, I know exactly what she should do. And then you start thinking about all the shoulds and what you can do. And then you're going to wait and you say, ha, I can fix you. I can fix that problem. That's listening to fix. Now, the third way of listening, that's where I hope that you can spend most of your time. and that is listening to learn. When we're listening to learn, we stay present in the moment. We are, and most importantly, staying curious. And that curiosity, you're curious about, what are they doing? Why are they saying it this way? What is their voice like? What's their body language like? What's their facial expressions? What is going on with them? Why do they ask those same questions all the time? Why do they laugh at this? Why do they get angry at that? So those are the 3 ways of listening. And listening to learn is your first step in being able to apply Communication RX. So how many of you have this issue of listening to fix? Anybody say why for yes? How many of you experienced it? And how many of you are guilty of yes, 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 spouse, yes, yes, yes? Usually happens with the spouse, right? I'm going to fix you. And listening to win, like, are we doing this? Okay. So we all do it. Yes. Oh, a lot of S's there. Oh, little tiny S when they're done. Okay. So we listen to win, we listen to fix. And I'd love for you to start listening to learn and be curious. Because like I said, it's the first step of being able to apply Communication RX. And now the second step in being able to apply Communication RX is being able to diagnose the symptoms. Now, there are schools of psychology that say that that our human beings have certain emotional needs. And when those needs are common emotional needs, and when those needs are met, we feel rewarded. And when those needs are not met, it feels as though our survival is being threatened. And so one of the things that I've done is I've broken down the emotional needs into what I call the 6 ICU needs. ICU because when those needs are met, you feel included, you feel connected, and you feel understood. So let's take a look at the ICU needs. They are importance, connection, clarity, independence, inclusion, and purpose. So we do a little debrief about them individually and study. And now, of course, everybody has all of these needs one way or the other. They all bubble up, but some of us have a higher priority need for one over the other. And that has to do with who we are, how we were raised, where we were raised, and the experiences that we've gone through. And so if you look at importance, you know, that people who need to feel important, they need to feel acknowledged. They need to feel like they're maybe a step up or they stand out from their peers. Now, imagine that Sylvia has a high need for importance. And so you told her about your promotion and she's sitting there thinking, oh, why didn't I get a promotion? I worked my tail off. Why didn't you even acknowledge the fact that some of my contribution is what got you the promotion that you got? So her need for importance is being threatened, which has triggered her survival brain, which has then bubbled up her stress hormones and put her into the fight, flight, or freeze mode. And so she freezes and she leaves us. Now, Ramon might have a really strong need for connection. And people who need connection need to feel like they are being liked. They need to feel like they have close relationships with the people they work with or they're involved with. And so the fact that you probably laughed at his corny jokes and the fact that he might be going to a new department, he's going to get to meet all these new people that he's friends with, he feels rewarded. So he's out of there in a happy camper. So let's take a look at clarity. People who have a need for clarity, they want to make sure that the I is dotted, the T is crossed. They want to know the who, the when, the where, the how, and the how long. And so let's go back to Sylvia. If she has a high need for clarity, she could have gotten stressed because you couldn't tell her exactly when this change was going to happen. You couldn't tell her exactly who she's going to be reporting to, whether her job function is going to change, whether her job title is going to change. That sets her off. That sets up her survival brain again. Independence. People who are feeling independent, they need to have choices. They need to have options. They hate being micromanaged. So think about it. If you had to give this news to somebody who has a strong need for independence, what might their reaction be? Any thoughts? And then, of course, our last two needs, I think about it, are inclusion and purpose. Now, we could argue that everybody wants to feel included and everybody wants to feel like what they do matters. But like I said, depending on how you were raised and what your experiences are, some people are so much more easily triggered by even the hint of not being included or feeling left out. And some people are so unproductive and so, unmotivated if they do not know why they are doing a particular task and what that has to do with the health or the rest of that organization. So I want you to think about this. When you look at these 6 needs, which need do you prioritize? And this usually happens when it's under stress. So which need do you prioritize? Write in the chat if you can figure it out. Also, think about your organization, the people within your organization. Think about your friends, your family. What are their priority needs? And how might you be able to meet them? I'll talk to you a lot more in the second section about how you can meet them. Now, a lot of people now ask me, well, how am I supposed to find out? Can you give me a clue? What I want you to think about is if you are listening to learn, and if you are listening with curiosity, you will be amazed at how clearly people tell you what they need. Let's see what some of your needs are. To understand inclusion, connection. Rochelle is inclusion. Eric is clarity. We've got Tracy is independence. Yes, Mr. Independent. I love reasons. Yeah, so those are some of the more connection, independence. Yeah. So incredible. So find out what your people need. Find out what you need, because that's how you can connect. Now, there's another reason why I call these the ICU needs, is because people want to be seen. There are tribes in South Africa who have a really interesting greeting. Instead of hello, they say sawubona, which means I see you. And that is to say, I acknowledge and respect you just as you are. And their response is, I am here, which is to say, when you see me, you bring me into existence. So I talked about how improving your communication can increase productivity. It can increase profitability. It can save time. But improving your communication can also help the people that you interact with feel seen and brought into existence. And for me, that is enlightened leadership. Sawubona.